To start, you need to put the wig on top of the wig head and secure it and make sure it's in the right place so you can really pull at it while styling. Then using a tail comb or a regular comb, brush the whole thing through. Now you want to get some low temperature straighteners, I'll put the name of them in the description, and you want to straighten the whole thing to get rid of any kinks or curves. Now you want to section the hair slightly, pushing some of the shorter hairs back and bringing the front framing hair to the side because we'll be working on that later. Now it's time to grab some hairspray, work your fingers through it and just give the hair a little bit of oomph before you start styling it. For the more prominent spikes on the top of the head, you're going to need to take the top section and backcomb it. To tidy up the back, you need to take your hairspray and start to push the hairs in the direction that you want them. His hair seems to come to the same point in the middle of the back. There seems to be a very short section of hair between the styled section and the length at the bottom, so you want to take your scissors. I prefer to use thinning scissors, but you can use any hair cutting scissors, and make a little strip going around to make sure that the shortness of the hair that we are cutting kind of gradients up into the styled part. Make sure it's equal on both sides and that you've cut the right amount of hair underneath, and then while you're there, take the scissors and clean up the edges and the little ends that you have styled the back with, making sure that there's no stray hairs or bits that are too long. Coming back to the top part, you're going to need to section them into three because he's got three little spikes on the top of his head that stick up more than the rest. And if you've got any extra, put them towards the side spikes. The key to making good spikes is to take your thinning scissors and make sure that you cut out a lot of the ends, and to make sure that the spike isn't too heavy with a lot of hair. So you want to take out pretty much half of the hair that you're trying to spike. This way the ends are lighter and they stick up a lot better. Once you've cut the spike into the length that you desire, you need to take your hairspray and your hairdryer and spray it lightly and then dry it slightly from a distance. This way you sort of melt the plastic hairs together, not too much, but enough to keep them in place. Try and be as confident as you can with cutting your spikes. It can be quite scary to cut hair quite short and to cut a lot of hair out of it, but the more confident you are and the more that you cut it, the better it will come out. If you have any stray hairs left over from sticking your spike together, take your normal hair cutting scissors and just trim the ends off, but I would do it at a slight angle, just to make sure that you don't have any sort of straight cut ends that don't tend to look very good with spikes. Now you want to cut some more side spikes the same way you did on the other side. For cutting the front, we're going to have to put it on, so take the clips out of the sides, give it a brush, and then it's time to cut the front. Make sure the wig is secure and in the right space. You want the corners of the front of the wig to be just in front of your ears. Then you want to work on a side at a time, so section it and put the rest of the hair away in a clip or something to help get it out of your eyes. Then you want to take the thinning scissors and start cutting a little bit at a time and try and gradient the hair outwards. He's got very thin ends to the front of his hair. So just slowly keep cutting until you start to get very thin, wispy kind of Final Fantasy ends. His hair seems to frame his face quite a lot, so you want it a little bit shorter around your eyes and the top of your cheeks and to slowly get longer as it comes around his chin. Please be careful of your eyes and your eyelashes. I've done this a million times, so I'm doing it quickly and confidently, but please be careful. Now you want to take the middle sections and start finding tiny little pieces of hair that you can put in front of your eyes. Noctis seems to have a lot of those, so I tend to just make 2 side bits and then 1 big chunk for the middle. For the middle part, you'll want to really thin this out, but don't go too high or cut it too short too soon. It's a little bit longer than the side parts. You want to keep cutting, and then you want to have 2 little tiny spikes that kind of sit with each other. The best thing to do is just keep cutting, making sure you're keeping them an even length, and then slowly start to cut one of them a little bit more. Try not to have just one big spike, that tends not to look as good. So the more you thin it and the more you cut the ends, the better it'll look. If you don't want to put hairspray in your face, you can put hairspray onto the ends of your fingers, rub them together, and then put them onto the ends of your hair, bringing them together and gluing them. It kind of saves you from spraying yourself in the eye. When you're cutting the sides, you want to make sure that you're cutting from upwards going down. If you cut from down upwards, it tends to make it more rigid and the hair cuts kind of too straight. So the more you can thin it from an angle, the better. It'll definitely make it look a lot more natural and a lot more kind of Final Fantasy wispy ends. Once you finish that, or you can choose to do this before you've cut any of the front, you need to kind of run your fingers through the fringe, make sure there's a couple of layers, make sure it's a bit thicker. You want to make it look less flat around your face, give it some volume. This is a little trick that I learned from a cosplayer I really admire. Take some eyelash glue, pop it on your finger, pop it on your face, and then stick it where you want the hair to stick to your face so it doesn't run away in the wind or become unstyled. It stayed for me all day, and I used Duo eyelash glue. I couldn't use it too much here because this is a commissioned wig, so I didn't want to get it dirty. Thank you for watching my Noctis wig tutorial, and I hope that it's helped you guys. Thank you as always for your support, and I cannot wait to do the next one.